quick cover how you can use Tumblr for a lot of this stuff, because we've built a lot of tools seeing this is a real use case, and there's some ways to sort of, there is kind of a formula. And I think it starts with you create the blog, you customize the theme a little bit, there isn't much that's really required. You go, you seed the content, and you use our queuing feature to just stack up a whole bunch of posts. Once you queue up the post, you can set it to on any regular interval, so you can say, once a day, push out one of these posts. And then the thing is sort of on autopilot. So you queue the stuff up, and then you watch as the thing gains traction, whether or not contributions are coming in. To drive the most contributions, you're generally featuring the people who are submitting them. So Tumblr does have a built-in submission feature as of a couple weeks ago, where you literally tell your users to click a button to submit a post. They have a full interface to create that post. They upload a photo, they upload a video, whatever it is. That goes into a queue that you see. When you approve it, it goes onto your blog saying that blank and blank from this town submitted this video, that kind of thing. And as long as you're doing enough to promote those individuals who are submitting the content, a lot of our users have gone and created top lists for them, just so that they feel like they're sort of investing in this thing. That generally does enough to kind of spark that interest by anyone who would care about this brand enough to submit one thing that they have sitting around on the computer. If you feature them, if they're really that star in the community for the few minutes that their post is featured, they seem to at least really care about it generally and become real evangelists for whatever you're doing. So, and actually that point about becoming very invested in this product now, I mean, so many people can say now that they are sort of co-creators of This Is Why You're Fat. These are all people who are certainly going to speak positively about this book, at the very least be excited about it when it comes out. A lot of them are probably going to buy it to see this photo that they contributed. That's a really powerful thing, I think, to let an entire audience of people basically play co-creator in this one product. So it's a little bit on user-generated content stuff. Any other specific to user-generated blogs, anything I can tell you about? So I'll real quick jump into this idea of content bubbling up on the web, which is something we talk about a ton. I think it's something that in product you really need to design for. The idea that you want to feature the best stuff. This is something that Facebook is kind of struggling with right now. If you log into your Facebook homepage, it's sort of the raw feed and the stuff that they've bubbled up, which is that right column full of the things that they think are most relevant, that have the most likes, seem to have the most traction, or by the most active or popular users. And it's the stuff that, in product, you kind of want people to see if they're just logging in for the first time. It's the stuff that's generally stickiest. It's also the easiest way to dig up more content, because that way we're not just showing you people that you follow on Tumblr, but if you click the popular button up top, you're seeing posts from millions of publishers now that have been filtered by popularity effectively. So that bubbling up step has a lot of really important applications in product. In terms of content, in terms of how a content creator or brand is bubbling up, I would say online. I mean, it's really a marketing method, right? It's this idea that, well, I'll start with what does bubble up. It seems to be two things, at least in my little universe. It's two things that bubble up on the web. It's memes and conversations. Conversations are a little outside of my realm of expertise. They seem to be a lot harder to do. They require having a really thoughtful voice and really connecting with the super peers, I think. And really connecting with the people who have reach. Otherwise, generally, people don't really care about that voice. That's why the conversation is kind of hard to jump into. I mean, you'll see, the best example of this is like YouTube. So for all that garbage that's there, every now and then somebody will jump in with, this is why all you people are racist, and this is just dumb, like what you guys are writing about. Yeah, and as thoughtful and smart as that response might have been, it's not in a space that has, where it will receive any mind share. It won't ever be bubbled up to the top because it's in a community where that voice is, specifically viewed as just, I don't know. That's an unpopular point of view in that community. So anyway, conversation thing I won't speak to too much. It's a little bit outside of my expertise, and it's generally harder. But it seems to be very, very dependent on the super peers, who are still accessible. I mean, these are bloggers who are generally very, very flattered when you reach out to them. So we've kind of been able to spin this for clients in the past. We've been able to spin it for ourselves in the past. It requires a lot of one-on-one finagling and really clever positioning of whatever that message is that you want to send. Memes, on the other hand, the web really seems to be built for memes these days, and at the very least, it seems to be the stuff that people are most excited about. Facebook's redesign kept that in mind. Tumblr is really built on memes from the ground up. That's why we break apart our post formats the way we do.
Can you talk about what memes are?
Sure. In this context, I really mean a meme is, if the old web was post title, multiple paragraphs, a footer, this nicely formed article, whatever you want to call it. I would say that, yeah, what do you call it actually? That's the editorial voice. That's really, that is, it's much, I don't know, it's much more than what I would consider a meme, which is the, actually, this is a really interesting question. How do you define this meme on like the Web 2.0? I mean, I think the most important thing is there isn't really a voice behind it. Not as much anyway, at least it's less about the author. I think that's probably the most important thing is a meme in general is much less about the author as it is whatever this thing is that they've created. So attaching yourself as the author to that can be really, really tricky. So I mean, how many viral YouTube stars, how many Tay-Zondays have kind of come to light like that and gone away just as quickly because nobody really cared about the created by credit that was sitting next to the video. That's at least the way we're sort of looking at memes. They're less dependent on the author. They're much more fluid in how they spread around as a result. It's actually, I think that's where the viral phenomenon has come from. It was the idea that we're not just creating homepages for ourselves. We're now sharing these random things that we're finding or creating that we care about for one reason or another. And those are able to jump around really quickly. And that wasn't really possible before when you're talking about different people's identities. There's not, you can talk to each other, but one little thing, one little contained thing can't hop around the web that quickly. Can hop around much more quickly. So anyway, the kinds of memes I guess we're talking about are like, the cute cat photos, or the Iran controversy photos, or the tributes to Michael Jackson, anything that's really, really contained. Those were all photos, but like similarly, the witty quote that was pulled from the bigger, interesting article, that kind of thing, the thing that's able to spread really, really rapidly.